Good morning. Welcome to Horizon Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Gay Cox. I'm your worship leader for today. We have a few announcements before we begin, and I also encourage you to read the announcements that are in your order of service. Next Sunday, an important announcement, please join us after the service as we celebrate the ordination of our interim minister, Meredith Barber. Meredith is being introduced today at the Church of the River, the First Unitarian Church in Memphis, Tennessee. This is where she served her internship. We certainly want to honor this very important milestone for Meredith, so Horizon will hold a short ceremony and reception for her next week. Your cards and notes of congratulations are certainly welcome. Also next Sunday, we will welcome our children back to our service, and we'll also enjoy the Time for All Ages as part of our worship service for the first time since March of 2020. Kind of let that settle in for a second. Children in first grade through middle school will join their families for the first 15 minutes of worship before going to their classes. Children in kindergarten and younger may join us in worship if their families are comfortable with them being in the larger group. If you've not already turned in up to 3 names of members whom you'd like to recommend to serve on the Ministerial Search Committee, you have until next Sunday to do that. The recommendation forms are at the Welcome Center, and just complete one and put it in the blue MSC box that's out there. Or you can click on the link in the newsletter and make those nominations. If you've already done so, thank you for your suggestions, and remember that only 3 names are requested from each member. Last of all, you may have noticed that there's no one up here with me this morning. And I'm very sad to share that our visiting minister is unable to be here. She is ill. And so we are very appreciative that she has provided videos for us. So this will be a first for us. Our technological capacities have allowed us to host a guest minister remotely. So this is something that wasn't possible even a year ago at Horizon, so we're pretty excited about that. So we're glad you're here with us today, whether you're joining us in person or virtually. At Horizon, we welcome people of all faiths and of no faith in particular. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome. Let us now enter into the spirit of worship with our guest minister, the Reverend Aaron Walter.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Aaron Walter, and I am so grateful to be with you today, though I dearly, dearly wish I were there in person. I want to thank your team for welcoming me and making it work through this gift of technology, and I look forward to when I can be with you in person. Our opening words this morning are called "Could We Talk About?" by Ann Barker, and they come from this book, Shelter in This Place, Meditations on 2020, edited by Meg Riley from our Skinner House Books publisher. And while these are meditations on 2020, they really do apply to the human experience in any year. Could We Talk About by Ann Barker. Could we talk about the dissonance between what we teach our children and how we live our lives? Could we talk about sharing and how we don't? Could we talk about the ways that privilege binds us to suffering? The ways that suffering starves us of freedom? The ways that freedom isn't freedom and never was? Could we talk about love? And so we come together today.
I'd like to invite Terry Duma to light our chalice at this time while we hear these words from our neighbor, the UU Fellowship in Tyler, Texas. We light our flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In the search for truth, May we be just. In the search for justice, may we be loving. In the search for love, may we find peace. Please rise in body or in spirit while we say our affirmation, which is written in the order of service. Love is the doctrine of our church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in harmony with the earth, thus do we covenant together. Thank you. Remain standing for our opening hymn, number 361 in the gray hymnal. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Please be seated. Now is the time we offer gratitude for the ministry of this church and for Unitarian Universalism throughout the world with our financial contributions. Today, our collection will benefit our Share the Plate partner for the month of March, the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. Reverend Aaron will now tell us about Texas UUJM, or I understand it's often referred to as Texas UGM, and the important work they do to promote UU values in Texas.
So I'm here today as your minister and executive director of the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. That's our state action network for living UU values in the public square. The Texas UU Justice Ministry is one of about 25, maybe more state action networks for UUs around the country. So not every state has one, and it's not something to be taken for granted. The Reverend Chuck Freeman, who some of you may know, my predecessor, worked very hard with our founding board members, UUs like you, and maybe some of you have been heavily involved. I'm so thankful to your representatives on our advisory council and to the folks who are doing such great work from this congregation. So the Texas UU Justice Ministry exists because of donations and dues from congregations like yours. Your congregation makes dues. You also do Share the Plate. We have individual memberships. We are ever grateful for your gifts, and especially for any of you who are able to be sustaining givers. That means monthly donors. That helps us plan, that helps us see what our capacity is. And so every So I'm here today as your minister and executive director of the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. That's our state action network for living UU values in the public square. The Texas UU Justice Ministry is one of about 25, maybe more, state action networks for UUs around the country. So not every state has one, and it's not something to be taken for granted. The Reverend Chuck Freeman, who some of you may know, my predecessor, worked very hard with our founding board members, UUs like you, and maybe some of you have been heavily involved. I'm so thankful to your representatives on our advisory council and to the folks who are doing such great work from this congregation. So the Texas UU Justice Ministry exists because of donations and dues from congregations like yours. Your congregation makes dues. You also do share the plate. We have individual memberships. We are ever grateful for your gifts, and especially for any of you who are able to be sustaining givers. That means monthly donors. That helps us plan, that helps us see what our capacity is. And so every gift that you make is a moment where myself and our volunteer board, our volunteer advisors, everyone who's doing this justice seeking work in Texas, which needs it so much. But every gift that you make gives us time where our full focus can be on organizing and justice making, and less so on scraping together the money to make this ministry and this organization possible. So I ask you to today really think about how your heart has been feeling about the struggles of Texas for justice, the ways that the powers that be have been oppressing, infringing upon, threatening to tear apart families in our state, and how much UU values are needed in that public square. And I ask you to give as generously as you can. I cannot tell you what a difference it makes. You know how great the need is in the lives of our trans and non-binary kids and their families, our folks who are fighting for racial justice, for our climate, our environment, this planet we live on and cherish so much. There's so much need, and we will just appreciate your generosity so much. I wish I could be there to hug you in thanks, but please dig deep and give as you can, and know that your time and talents are also greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. It's time for your sharing of the plate.
Almond tree renewed in bloom, do they not proclaim life returning year by year, love that will remain? Almond blossom, sign of life in the face of pain, raises hope in people's hearts. Spring has come again, or destroys 1,000-fold. Hatred scars the earth, but the day when almonds bloom is a time of birth. Friends, give thanks for almond blooms swaying in the wind, token that the gift of life triumphs in the end.
Today's reading is from The Essential Work of Justice and Liberation of All by Rosemary Bray McNatt. By no means are we Unitarian Universalists perfect. We often fail as much as we succeed. Yet, even when we have broken our vows 1,000 times, we return to this essential work of justice and liberation for all. We do the work best when we remember what church is and what it is not. Church is not a place to hide. It is not a place to get away from the world. It is not a place where we get to pretend that the lives we live and our particular situations are not terribly complex, often confusing, and sometimes depressing. Church is the place where we stand with one another, look the world in the eye, attempt to see clearly, and gather strength to face what we see with courage, and yes, with joy. Now is the time when we honor the sorrows and joys of this community, knowing that we are all interconnected and what affects one affects us all. I'd like to express sorrow on the passing of Dave Troiano's mother last week. And we have a joy also shared by Terry Dumas that this is friends of, or parents of a friend, I believe. Marina and Yuri were able to get out of Ukraine, hoping for the best for them and thinking of all the others left behind. Our guest minister, Reverend Aaron Walter, has had an article to support trans youth and families in today's Fort Worth Star Telegram, so you may want to look that up. That's quite a joy. I also want to lift up the joy of Meredith's ordination today. We're very happy for her and what this means in her life. And to return to the Ukraine theme, our collective sorrow increases every day as we watch the unimaginable atrocities that the people of Ukraine are going through and the concern that this war is bringing to the entire world. We light this candle this morning to honor these joys and sorrows and to recognize the joys and sorrows that have gone unspoken and are in our hearts. Reverend Aaron will now offer a prayer for us.
Will you take a breath with me? I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. April 2nd is the Trans Day of Visibility. If you are able to come to the Capitol in Austin, I invite you to join me and many partners in justice work here for the Trans Day of Visibility rally at the Capitol. You can find more information about that on the Texas UU Justice Ministry Facebook page. But in the meantime, during our time of prayer, I'd like to share with you one from my dear friend, colleague, mentor, a trans UU minister, Reverend Teresa Ninang Soto. Their words: a prayer. We are holy, we are sacred, we are divine is the title. Our friend, our creator and source, we come to you with words of grief, but also silent rage. We know that you have made us and called us. We are trans and we are holy. We are intersex and we are sacred. We are gender diverse and we are divine. We know that justice is always on the side of the oppressed. Stay on our side now, Creator. Call your people to this place. Remind them that love is more than saying. Love is being and doing. This government may try to find ways to outlaw our existence. Help us to lift up that higher law, the truth that each and all of us exist as a complete expression of humanity, and help us both to heal and to rise. A people marked by difference, but chosen by ourselves and each other to be known, to be recognized, beloved and belonging, Unitarian Universalists. We are trans and we are holy. We are intersex and we are sacred. We are gender diverse and we are divine. For all these things, we give thanks and say, Amen. I give thanks to the Reverend Soto for their wisdom, their poetry, their beauty and grace.
Please remain seated and join Bill Moore in singing Spirit of Life, page 123 in your gray hymnal.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
The Reverend Erin J. Walter, she, her, hers, serves as the minister and executive director of the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry, our statewide action network. Winner of the 2017 Sermon Award from the UU Women's Federation and a former YMCA director, Reverend Erin is the singer, songwriter, and bassist for the band Parker Woodland, and she teaches community Zumba as a joy practice. Erin is the affiliated community minister of Wildflower Unitarian Universalist Church in Austin, and she will now provide our sermon.
I want to say congratulations again to your minister, Meredith Barber, on her ordination today. She is such a wonderful colleague, and I can't wait to congratulate her in person. This is a wonderful day for all of us in Unitarian Universalism, but especially for Meredith and for Horizon. Thank you for sharing it with me. I also want to thank your Texas UU Justice Ministry Advisory Council reps, Joel Whiten and Sarah Barrel Harrop. And I will check with them and make sure I know how to pronounce their names well for next time. But Joel and Sarah, thank you so much for the work that you've been doing on behalf of justice in Texas. We appreciate you so much. So, as I think you know, I'm not with you in person today because I'm sick. Nothing that's going to last forever, but definitely the kind of thing that I didn't want to come up there and share with you. So I want to just acknowledge that and give thanks and let you know that in this sermon today, I'm going to be giving myself some grace and just asking myself, knowing that it's not going to be perfect, knowing that I have the brain right now of a person who's not altogether well, and that's okay. What are the things that I really most want you to know? And really, that's what any sermon should be every time, right? But today it comes kind of into sharp relief as I'm trying to do my best under more difficult circumstances than one might prefer. So here is what I want you to know about the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry and about what I call the spiritual practice of showing up. Now, TXUJM, TXUUJM, or the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry, that's a lot of words. It's a mouthful. And the thing is, what it really is it's you. TXUJM is the justice network that brings you and all the other UUs around the state who are seeking justice, who are trying to build the beloved community together. Now, we used to come together at the Capitol twice or every other year, not twice a year, mercifully, every other year when the legislature would meet. And we're going to do that again, but we haven't done it for a couple of years because of the pandemic. So were some of you there back in the day? I cherish the memories of seeing folks from all over Texas together at the Capitol for this legislative action day that we used to have. So I want to tell you just a short story about the last one. I remember singing in the rotunda after a long morning and early afternoon of talking to our legislators about our values and what we need from them to represent us. And we gathered, we had our banners, a lot of us had our yellow shirts on, and we sang. There was a group or two women from Dallas's Common Ground Singers that led us in protest songs in that open air of the Capitol Extension. And it was just such a joy. And then when I came up to the street level, an older white man, a Texas state trooper, stopped me in my yellow Standing on the Side of Love at the time, and now we say Side with Love shirt. And I admit I was not excited to talk with him. I don't naturally seek out people in law enforcement if I can help it. Although I definitely have friends in law enforcement. And so I try to keep an open mind, but he kind of got my attention and I braced myself and he said, "Was that y'all singing down there? It sounded so good. It made the sun come out. You've got to sing more." And he was right. The sun had come out. It had been a rainy day, and the sun had come out, and it was just glorious. And to have someone recognize and feel that our singing, our UU Justice Ministry singing, had brought out the sunshine, it really made an impression on me. So I want to sing for you the song that has been on my heart as I have said yes to the call of leading this justice ministry with you. The song is Wo Ya Ya, and it goes like this. We are going, heaven knows how we are going, but we know within and we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wo ya ya, wo ya ya, wo ya ya. Oh, yeah, yeah. I've been singing that song to myself as kind of an accompaniment in my own heart for the fact that this work is hard and that people have been doing hard work for justice and liberation since the beginning of humanity. And so as we take our places, take our shifts for the revolution, as some of my friends in this work have said, as we do this work together, as we find little ways to seek justice, to hold accountability, to care for each other while we build the beloved community, as we do that, I hope we are keeping our songs, our spiritual nourishment with us along the way. And I also hope you'll look up where that song comes from. It comes from the African tradition. And there's a lot more information about it online. One of my colleagues, Reverend Kimberly Debus, has written about it. But I love Wo Ya Ya, and I love the hymns of our hymnal, and I miss singing with all of you. And so I hope we'll be doing that next time. But one of the things that I want to ask you to do is think about, is there a theme song for you? Is there something that gives you nourishment when you need it, when despair or illness or grief or loss might seem to want to take over your spirit? Knowing that there is always a light, that joy cometh in the morning, but what we need is these pieces of sustenance to help us hold on. So that song is one of those for me. What I want to do today is invite you deeper into the work of the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry. It's a ministry of joy, of music, of dance, and a ministry of work. And you're not expected to do all of it. Nobody is expected to do all of it, but there's lots that we can do. And so I hope you'll find the place in this state action network of UUs that is of joy and purpose for you. So here are a few things that are going on this year. We have our UU the Vote collaborations coming up. So get out the vote efforts. We're going to be working with congregations all around the state. This coming week, I'm sitting down to write a grant so that we will have money for postcards and postage. And we just need you to get together after church and send out postcards to disenfranchised voters and make sure that we're getting out the vote. So that's one thing that's coming, and you'll be hearing more about that soon. We're really excited to work with UU the Vote and to work with our partners and congregations all around the state. It's a chance for us to be part of something together, which is so powerful. The next thing is that we have an awesome program coming called Be a Good Relative. It's a program that combines climate justice, Indigenous solidarity, and our UU principles. So the Texas UU Justice Ministry is working with the UUSC, which is our UU Service Committee, the UU Ministry for Earth, and the Carrizo Comecrudo tribe of Texas. Folks from that tribe are in South Texas predominantly, and we've been in relationship with them through several projects between the Justice Ministry and the UUSC and the Ministry for Earth. And so this program, Being a Good Relative, is to help congregations develop our capacity, our skills for being in relationship with Indigenous tribes, Native people near to us and around our state. And that often intersects with the work of climate justice, which is so important to us in our UU principles, in our focus areas of TechSUJM. And so we will be doing Monday nights in May, the first 4 Monday nights of May. And that starts May 2nd at 7 p.m. This is over Zoom, and it's going to be co-facilitated by members of the tribe. And it will be just a place to learn, connect, engage around these topics of solidarity and environmental justice and our principles. And then there will be opportunities in the summertime for those who are interested to go to South Texas and be involved in climate justice and environmental justice actions with the tribe. You don't have to be willing to travel to be part of this May program. It's just 4 sessions, Monday evenings over Zoom. It's free. We have gotten a grant for it. So that's an offering to our Texas congregations to you from the UU Justice Ministry. There will be 40 spaces for that. So it's not unlimited. So if your congregation is interested, if you want to go deeper and beyond the words of the land acknowledgement, which is a great start for many congregations, but a lot of us are yearning to know, how can our UU congregations be more in solidarity with our Indigenous neighbors? This is a program for that. So again, stay tuned. You'll hear from your advisory council. You'll hear from me in emails from the Justice Ministry about how to register for that very soon. Now, I know you're aware of all of the struggles that have been going on in the fight for the rights of our trans kids, our non-binary kids, their families at the state level. So the Justice Ministry is working with our partners around the state, including TENT, the Transgender Education Network of Texas, Equality Texas, and many others, to stay on top of advocacy opportunities. In the meantime, we are also wanting to bring you a program for trans inclusion in congregations that comes from our own UU Transforming Hearts Collective. This program, again, we are writing a grant for so that it will be free to you. And it is a curriculum that can be done online for all of our congregations in Texas to deepen our ability to be genuinely inclusive and welcoming for the trans members of our families and community. And so I'm really excited about this. And again, as soon as we have that curriculum ready for you, it's coming down the pipe. But I want you to get a sense of the things that you are making possible as members of the Texas UU Justice Ministry, as donors, as friends. So these are some of the things that are coming quite soon. Now, starting April 14th, gosh, that will be here in less than, just a little over 2 weeks. I'm very excited that we are moving on up toward weekly Zoom action hours. Some of you have been with us, and your own Sarah Barrel-Harrop has been an amazing facilitator of the Texas Power Hour for Democracy gatherings on Zoom, where folks are taking concrete actions together in community based on our UU values with a sense of spirit and purpose. Those have been happening monthly. People have been attending related Zooms and webinars with Side with Love. Well, the Justice Ministry, we have been building our capacity. We have been gathering our volunteers, and we are going to be starting our own weekly action hour Thursday nights, 7 o'clock over Zoom. Everybody's invited. You can bring your friends. You can bring your neighbors. It doesn't just have to be UUs. This is where that spiritual practice of showing up comes in. Yes, we get tired. Yes, it's hard to stay on top of everything. With this weekly time, every Thursday at 7, although put an asterisk on that, I'm coming back, but every Thursday at 7 for 1 hour, you log on to Zoom with your friends from church and your UUs all around the state, and me and the neighbors you invite. And we take 1, 2, maybe 3 if we're moving quickly, but 1 or 2 concrete actions. It's calls to legislators. It's writing a letter to the editor. It's emailing to say thank you to an organization that's doing powerful justice work in your community. Concrete things that we can do and say, you know what? I can't do everything, but my faith calls me to do what I can do, and it calls me to do it with others. So that action hour is coming starting April 14th. I said put an asterisk because on the final Friday of the month, we're going to do a brown bag lunch for the folks who can't do Thursday evenings. We did a doodle poll, and thank you to those who did the doodle poll. Nothing like the spiritual practice of actually doing the doodle poll when someone asks you to do the doodle poll. Sometimes this work of community is tedious and not glamorous at all, right? So anyway, thank you for that. But Thursday nights were the winner, but Friday lunch was second. So we decided on the final Friday of the month, we'll do brown bag lunch. So Thursdays at 7, and then final Friday, we'll do brown bag lunch. All of this is coming to your inbox. Do you have to come every week? No. If you can, great. But even if you pop in once a month, what we can do is what we can do. And so I just ask you and invite you to commit to the things that you can do. We will also be having a We Cry Justice book group that starts at 6:30 on those Thursdays. So for those folks who have a little extra time, we're teaming up with the Poor People's Campaign. This book is We Cry Justice, Reading the Bible with the Poor People's Campaign. And we've been asked by that campaign, look, can you see it? To facilitate, have Zoom, and then their facilitator will do the program. But to open up our Zoom doors for folks from all over to be part of this reading group. And the chapters are very short. They're like 3 pages long, and they have titles like We Who Are Becoming, or Band-Aids for Justice, or Whose Law and Whose Order. And so what this does, reading this book that draws upon the Bible, but in a framework of justice, is it gives those of us who are UU an opportunity to engage with a sacred text that may be a personal sacred text, or it may not. I grew up with very little Bible. I grew up UU, and I have been wanting to engage more with it because as a justice seeker, I am in interfaith context all the time. And so increasing my biblical literacy and connecting with the Bible in a way that is about justice, I'm really excited to do. And I'm really excited to do it with the Poor People's Campaign. So that's going to be Thursdays at 6:30. Very easy to hop on. You don't have to read much. I'm the worst book group participant. It's very hard for me to read long chapters and finish a book in time for a book group, but this is going to be very accessible. Okay, so we talked about get out the vote. We talked about trans inclusion in congregations. We talked about the Being a Good Relative, Indigenous and Environmental Solidarity Program. We've talked about Zoom action hours. You've heard about the We Cry Justice book group. The other thing that I want you to know about the Texas UU Justice Ministry is simply that we are here to connect you with your fellow UUs and justice seekers around the state. This pandemic has been a very isolating time. It has been so hard. I lost a beloved family member about a year ago to COVID. I lost my previous ministry role with the YMCA of Austin to COVID. There have been many incredible silver linings in my life. And at the same time, I cannot dismiss the incredible amount of grief and isolation that the last 2 years have been for many of us. And so I want to say to you, this justice ministry is here for you to help you know that you are not seeking justice alone, that your congregation is not seeking justice alone. You are part of a wider movement in Texas, in North Texas, in the nation and beyond. And so we are here to do this work with you. We seek to lift up the good work that you're doing. There is a Facebook group, TXUU Justice Ministry Action Group. Ask Joel or Sarah, or drop me a line at txuujm@gmail.com to get in that group if you're not in there yet. That's where we're sharing invitations of actions, of readings, of music, of things that feed our spirit for this work. That is the place, in addition to our newsletter, which you can sign up for at txuujm.org, O-R-G, where we are sharing with each other the sacred work that we're doing that is rooted in our UU principles. There's no way that one staff person, me, is the work. You are the work. We are the work. We are the ones. And so I'm here, and the Justice Ministry is here to celebrate what you're doing, to lift you up, to offer encouragement, and to say thank you for the ways that you are showing up in solidarity in the world. I dearly hope that we will be together singing in the rotunda at the next legislative session. Stay tuned for that. I hope you're reading your Justice Ministry emails very closely because there's so much good stuff in there. I want to leave you with one piece of homework. That is to add more music to your work at church. I hate to use the word work so often. Sometimes it's can we bring artistry to things like meetings? This is your homework. So can you start your next board meeting, RE meeting, whatever meeting it might be, singing Lean on Me or Whoa Ya Ya, and see how it feels. When you take a break and you have to call people back to the meeting, what if you sang a verse of Comfort Me or How Could Anyone, instead of just hollering for people to come back? What if when Horizon UUs go to the city council meeting to demand justice in whatever shape or form, or the school board meeting, what if you led the electric slide in the lobby while you were waiting? We know that joy is an act of resistance, and we know that justice work is never going to be done. So I want to ask you to engage with your Texas UU Justice Ministry, give, act, show up, and also bring joy wherever you can, because it is so needed. Lastly, the words of founding Texas UU Justice Ministry Executive Director, Reverend Chuck Freeman, who preached 1 year ago or so at First Jefferson UU in Fort Worth. This is what he said. You look at what happened in the last election in Arizona and Georgia. This wasn't a flash in the pan. This was the result of a decade or more of grassroots organizing. And Texas is on this path if we keep doing our work, and we will. The future will be determined by those who are focused, centered, organized, and mobilized for the values they hold dear. That will be us. The politically impossible will become the politically inevitable. Take heart, friends. I know it's not an easy time to be people who love justice and people who want beloved community, but we are doing this work together. The politically impossible will become the politically inevitable, and we will get there together. Amen. Blessed be. And I hope to hug you for real next time I see you.
Reverend Aaron will be joining us for our coffee hour at 2 p.m. today, so everyone is invited to participate in that as well. Our closing hymn is page 1018 in the Teal hymnal, Come and Go With Me. Please rise in body or in spirit to join Bill Moore in singing.
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There will be justice in that land. There will be justice in that land. There will be justice in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There will be justice in that land. There will be justice in that land. There will be justice in that land where I'm bound. There will be singing in that land. There will be singing in that land. There will be singing in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There will be singing in that land. There will be singing in that land. There will be singing in that land where I'm bound, where I'm bound.
Please remain standing while Terry comes forward and extinguishes the flame today, and we will say our closing words that are located in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not our commitment to Horizon's mission to welcome radically, to love boldly, grow spiritually, and to serve courageously. This we do because we envision a beloved community filled with compassion, helping all to thrive in a just world. Please remain standing as Reverend Aaron will now offer a benediction.
Will you take a breath with me? For our benediction, as I have done for the past 2 years of Zooming and recording my way into congregations during the pandemic, I want to invite you, it's always an invitation, to put your hands out. If you feel safe and are willing to hold hands with the person next to you, go for it. What a gift to be connected. Maybe just wash your hands after. If you're at home, you might just imagine whose hand you'll be holding. Spirit of life and love, I give thanks for this day. I give thanks for health and for healing and for all the ways that our bodies are human and holy. I give thanks for this congregation and for their good work and just for being who they are. I give thanks for our trans and non-binary and gender expansive beloveds, for the spectrum of gender, the spectrum of human experience. Please give us ways to see the fullness of life and never restrict ourselves to a binary or anything that tells us we have to be less than who we know we truly are. For those who are sick, may there be healing and comfort. For those who are estranged or lonely, may there be community, may they be surrounded in love. And I ask your prayers on the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry, that we may be generous in our time and our talents and be full-hearted, determined, and hopeful, even in the face of struggle here in Texas. May we live out our mission as you use to be connected and building Texas ever toward justice. Amen and blessed be. Thank you again for this time with you. Have a wonderful Sunday, and I hope to see you soon.